Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Matt and John Make a Podcast. This is episode 67. This week, we're going to talk about, as always, this past week in NFL football. We had a big, eventful, some might say, episode of Mandalorian. We'll talk about some Wonder Woman streaming news, and John's going to preview the upcoming UFC Fight Night weekend this evening or today as you're watching this. So first, let's get into some football talk here. This past week was week 10. Any right off the bat, any big stories, the top story for you coming out of week 10, John?
Um, well, definitely. I think the AFC North for sure, Matt, because now as far as the Steelers in Baltimore is concerned, things are getting a little bit more interesting now. Just because that was such a devastating loss for the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday Night Football in, in that freaking hurricane that was coming through there. So now we're what, three and a half games up on them right now. And the
At least definitely three.
right, and they have Tennessee coming up this weekend, and then they face us obviously on Thanksgiving. So obviously, if Baltimore were
Yep,
to
just three games.
lose,
Just three
yeah.
games.
So if Baltimore were to like lose against Tennessee, and then that pretty much makes on Thursday night if
Not as important.
right, and that's kind of what I was thinking because okay, say we lose that game, okay, still like three games up, and we own the conference tiebreaker over them since I believe all three of their losses have been in the AFC. And if they were to somehow lose against Tennessee, that would be be like four games there. So it's that was one of the things that I definitely came out of this week thinking, man, like they really needed that game. So that's something to definitely keep an eye on for sure. But man, that ending of the Arizona and the Buffalo game where DeAndre Hopkins catches a 50-yard Hail Mary and gets the win over the Buffalo Bills in Arizona, which a devastating loss for the Buffalo
Yeah.
Bills because that game was in their grasp, and then just a freaking miracle, and now
That's yeah.
and
That's a big lot. You know what? That's a big game for Miami because they're
exactly
six.
because now
They're a half game back,
and that
and
and
so
that and man, like that's gonna be a very exciting finish there, Dylan.
and
Don't you
don't
think?
and
Because
don't yeah and don't give up on New England. Is 4-5 is I mean
yeah,
not out of the
I'm giving
realm of
up on them.
possible. I me too,
I'm
but
giving up
like
on them.
they're still they're not out of it by any stretch
They aren't,
mathematically.
but I just like for me, anyways, just seeing how they
Yeah.
have to play to actually win every single week.
Uh,
Like they pretty much have to play perfect. I feel
right.
in order.
I'm not saying that it's likely, but it
Right.
that helps. That makes their playoff chances hold on
Hmm.
for another day. I mean, you would have thought what how many weeks ago? Definitely before Tua. This was Buffalo's division, hands down, no
Right.
questions asked. And now you don't know. It's you don't know
No, they
because
do really don't
Buff.
because
Yeah.
and man, to like if he just continues to keep on getting better and better, and man, that African defense of theirs is for real. Like they are just a very well coached team, and now they are hitting on their stride at the same time. Definitely a team I would not want to be facing right now for sure.
Yeah.
So that's going to be very interesting because
Yeah.
I want to say that the Buffalo Bills have to face them least one more time.
They
Um,
face the Patriots.
mhm.
They face the Dolphins one more time.
Yeah, yeah.
Patriots at New England, and then home Dolphins. It's back to back weeks to close
Hmm.
out the season, and then they play the Steelers, the 12th on the 13th. So
and 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 speaking on the Steelers, they obviously bounced back with a very convincing, probably outside of the Cleveland game, Matt, the was was the like the least stressful game I have watched all season. We they
maybe minus the Cleveland game.
Well, yeah, yeah, that's what I meant there. But
Oh man.
so I mean, a very good one. Defense looked really damn good. TJ Watt had like 2 sacks. I think we forced 2 or 3 turnovers. That was good. The only concern, and this has been a theme now, we have zero running game whatsoever, and I feel that's something that could probably hurt us down the line here. And it's something. I mean, I'm not asking them to like be a like Baltimore Ravens like running game, but I want something to like just be effective enough to where they can incorporate that, and just be able to like get like average, I don't know, 60 or 70 yards a game. That would be fine, but that's it's a big problem right now, I feel. But at the same time though, we are 9-0 right now, and Matt,
They're getting it done.
and they're getting done. And I tell you, some of these PE people on Twitter though, whether it's like pro, whether it's um P, whether it's like PFF trolling Steeler fans, trying to tell me, oh, somehow in their power rankings, we are behind such teams as the Baltimore Ravens, Kansas. Well, Kansas City, I would say
Kansas City, you can
fine.
make an
I'm
argument.
I'm fine, but like there is no other team that I look at that should be ahead of the
Not
Steelers.
Baltimore.
No, like we
They're a
freaking
good
beat them.
team.
We
They're a
freaking beat
good
them.
team, but 9-0 and 6-3.
Exactly. And
Like
and if you look at the strength of schedule outside of the games against Kansas City, like they are playing the same exact schedule. So I just don't
and
understand
and
the
then apparently
logic.
I saw Chris Sims, I
I
guess
saw that
son
too.
of, didn't have Roethlisberger in the top 10.
Somehow Lamar Jackson and Ryan Tannehill are ranked, and Justin Herbert. And now I am a big Justin Herbert fan, but he should not be ranked above Ben. He has
Okay,
20. Yeah, man.
no, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Ben has 22 touchdowns to 4 picks, and his completion percentage, I want to say, is around 66 to 67 per
And,
percent.
and yeah, and coming back, even though it has nothing to do with it technically, coming back from
Right.
injury.
I
Oh,
just
you, I'm
I
sorry,
just
watching the game.
I fail to understand what the freaking logic is here. Like
Top
what
three,
more do you
no.
need to like?
Top 10, like how, what I want to know what he would rank him,
And
honestly.
like to Matt, he is doing this without any running game whatsoever. It's Ben. He is orchestrating this whole offense, and everyone's argument is, well, like he's throwing too many short passes and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, like God forbid that he just gets the ball in
but
his guys' hands.
but he's winning.
Right, exactly. And
It's
not
working.
it's working. And
Why?
and and guys, I'm not sure if you saw um, our team without our franchise quarterback.
It was crap.
This offense was shit. I mean, hell, like between Deontay Johnson and Claypool and Ebron and Juju, like just this offense is 10 times better with him at the helm. This isn't a
It
debate here, you
and
know.
Claypool not being ranked one of the top rookies this year when he has the most touchdowns by a wide receiver, rookie
Nine
wide
touchdowns,
receiver,
nine and
yeah.
nine touchdowns, and it's only week 11 now. Like that's
But it's just for some reason it's like nobody. It's 9-0, but like nobody cares.
yeah,
The national media, like it's
and
just like, yeah, you're 9-0, but are you really 9-0?
yes, we are literally 9-0. That's
But
what
like
the freaking record.
if this was like Seattle or
Kansas City
Kansas City or
or Tampa
Baltimore
or Tampa
or
Bay.
Tampa Bay or whoever, it'd be like the biggest thing since sliced bread every week. Like
Well, internet. It's
now it's like the
just,
Steelers. Yep, they're 9-0, but
but it
yeah,
just
we're not perfect, but like Jesus Christ,
who is who is like
like
and
our running game is not
horrible.
good, but we're winning.
I don't know. Like, and to it just further confirms as well, Matt. There is a national media bias against like Big Ben just because he isn't the most like likable guy, which I get. But can we judge his play on the field and like know what you think of him as a person? Like it's just I just do not get the consistent disrespect that this man gets between him and like Tomlin. And Tomlin especially, which like now he's finally starting to get like some like
He's
to
getting
get some respect.
it's better than it this year than it was,
But
but like
it's just like like because I mean, man, outside of like Belichick and Andy Reid, there is no other head coach I would I would rather have right now
like
than Tomlin. You know,
there was it's been weird with Tomlin because early because you had early on it was okay, he went with Cowher's people with his players, so nobody
right,
really like gave him the credit for winning the Super Bowl. Um, then it was you lose the Super Bowl against Green Bay, and
right,
it was you see he can't win with Cowher's players, maybe not as
right.
much.
Mm-hmm.
And then recently it's been can't win in the playoffs last couple years. Um, but if you look at Cowher, he went to the Super Bowl once, multiple AFC games,
They
championship
have
games.
virtually yeah they basically have the same exact resume right now. The
Yeah,
only
I
difference
mean,
is
maybe
Tomlin,
Cowher went a little bit farther more,
right?
but both him and Cowher went to two Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm.
They're both are 1-1. Um, and both can win like undeniably in the regular season. Tomlin has never had a losing
Losing
record
season,
as a coach. Like
and
there's something, and that goes to that the draft. It's a multifaceted thing, but
him
he's
and
winning in the
Colbert,
regular season.
right? And like
He's
him
giving your
and
team a
Colbert are just
chance.
every single year, like consistently, they always draft well, they scout well, they always have guys who like who like when guys leave, they always find someone to take their spot. Hell, wide receiver is the greatest example of that because
Yep.
anytime that they consistently lose a like Mike Wallace, a Tony Brown, Emmanuel Sanders, they always find someone, whether it is a Chase Claypool, a Juju Smith-Schuster, a Deontay Johnson. Like they just have a consistent record where like they just find us. Hell, Ray freaking McLeod has just been a guy who has come out of freaking nowhere and has
Mm-hmm.
added a legit punt returner that this team has honestly has like never really had, probably since Antoine Randall L.
Well,
If I'm
then
being perfectly honest,
Brown,
or
Brown, Brown did kickoff,
Antonio
right?
Brown. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Antonio Brown too. So
Yeah.
like he adds something because hell, we had to survive through some bad years with like Ryan Switzer, Mister Fair Catch himself out there. It's just like
uh
it just like they just consistently find guys
and
and now
and
yeah.
for a bit there, I know this is not to take away from Connor, but and you can include what running backs too in terms of talent. They had a Le'Veon Bell. They had a oh my god, I'm forgetting names. Mendenhall, who was good there.
Yep.
For the I mean, they've done that good for running backs too. For the most part, I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
can argue maybe not as successful as
Linebackers too. Like
linebackers. Yeah, um, it's just it amazes me how consistent that when there is a weakness, eventually it gets filled. Look at the defense 2 years ago,
it's
2 to 3 years ago.
it
It
was
was
one of the worst defenses out there, and it
it
wasn't
was like what happened to the defense of old, and now they through drafting and
Mhm.
trades. Look at the defense now. We saw the building
They
blocks last year,
legitimately
and then this year,
they
argue
yeah
top three defense.
they probably have three or four all pros on the defense now. Whether
Mm.
it's like Hewitt, Hayward, obviously TJ Watt and like Minka, and I definitely feel at some point that how like Devin Bush is definitely is going to be that guy because he's just so explosive. He's so athletic there that he has all of that potential, but just they have just proven whether in their scouting or whatever, they always find guys, and that this is why this team is consistently winning. But it also helps too that you have a like, franchise quarterback
Well,
and like Ben Roethlisberger, and like I will never take him for granted ever again because man, like it's especially after we suffer through through the through the through the Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges year from the previous
and then
season,
somehow we could have made the playoffs.
which I think only heightens Mike Tomlin's resume even
Yeah,
more because especially if you look at the Dallas Cowboys right now, that they pretty much we were in that same situation
pretty much.
except that our defense was significantly better, and
Yeah.
I don't think that is any question right there. But it's just it comes down to the organization and the coaching, and they have really have improved. They have really have proved that. Now, as far as the rest of their schedule goes, um, what chance do you think of them going undefeated?
Let me pull it up again, just so I'm right.
Because to me, probably their games against Baltimore, Buffalo, and Indianapolis are their hardest games left. If they somehow win all three of those games, I think their chances of going 16 and now
Um,
are pretty good here.
obviously the ones that, yeah, worry me is the Colts, the Bills, and the Ravens. I mean, beating the Ravens twice, um, again, normal year, and it's hard to do, and vice versa. Um, and the advantage is we're at home, but Ravens also have another thing have a good away record this year. That's going to be close. Again, they should beat the Jags, should beat the Redskins, the Bills. We'll see how the Bills are playing heading into that game in 4 weeks, but but still, they're not to be taken lightly. Should beat the Bengals regardless. The Colts, I feel like out of the three, Colts might be the easier of the three, but still,
Mhm.
that's not a shoe in for sure. And then the Browns, um, I mean, you get the Browns on a on a good day, that might be more competitive than it was uh,
Which,
earlier in the year.
yeah.
But
But
you would expect the Steelers to pull through again.
true. But
Um,
I think there's also a chance for that week too that they might be possibly sitting guys because if you look at the rest of Cleveland's um schedule, I think the only tough games that they really have left are against us and against Baltimore. So like they could be in a position where they don't even have to have the guys in the game on that
I don't.
Sunday there. Yeah.
They might have it, but let's say if we, um, it all comes down to, okay. Let's say we're 15-0 going into that game, right? And we have the first round bye clinched. Do you? So you're gonna have 2 weeks off. Do you sit players
I think the
and
only
screw 16-0,
I
or do
think
you
I think
play
the
to go perfect and only get 1 week off?
selfishly I would still play guys because I think it's been proven I'm sitting you guys like for an extended period of time actually doesn't help you.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't look at Baltimore last
Right,
year.
right.
They came out in a pretty much laid an egg and like they did not play great at all. Um,
Uh, I,
Jackson was just looked lost on the playoff
right.
stage. But like I would, see, you're doomed if you do, and you're doomed if you don't, because let's say somebody does get hurt.
Mhm.
But
But it, it's football though. I would still play
you can get,
our guys
yeah,
because I would rather go into the postseason having still a like rhythm. You can then have that bye week and like rest
you
guys.
have the bye week. So if
Yeah.
anybody's minorly hurt, God willing, God
Hmm.
forbid,
Hmm.
you have that week off and let everybody else. You
Right.
can, again, it's a philosophy. Let them beat themselves up, or the other team. You can't. There's both sides of everything. It's not a science,
Hmm.
but I, that week off, that'd be good to have, like that
Right.
bye week, um, if you will, for the Steelers. It could be huge.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, only playing 2 games instead of 3 is a big thing, but
on
you never know.
on top of that, they like had their bye week in like week 4, so I feel like
Yeah.
that would really help them. And I think I do think that they are going to like have that number one seed just because I just feel like I mean even against Baltimore, they have proven against Jackson he struggles against our defense. If we I mean if we don't give up a 200 over 200 yards of rushing in that game, he was largely ineffective. Like that's just
He was a quarterback.
he, like and it's and to and I'm not pointing all of the blame on him because if you actually look at that offense, they have no wide receivers whatsoever. Just like they don't have a guy who can consistently get open, and I think that has also really
Yeah.
hurt Jackson there. You know.
Yeah. A big game this week, um, for the Steelers for that bye is the Chiefs and the Raiders,
Mm-hmm.
because if I'm not
It's in like
mistaken, the
Vegas too.
Raiders beat the
Mm-hmm.
in Vegas. Raiders are the 1-8-1.
Mm-hmm.
So that's big. If Raiders pull off the win again, it's 8-2. That's 2 games
Right.
um up on them. I'm trying to see other games.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. What's your
you got
schedule
Chiefs.
like?
Then you got Chiefs, and after that, you got Chiefs and the Buccaneers. You got Tom Brady right
Hmm.
after that.
Interesting.
That's a big game.
That's a really big
That's
game.
during week 12.
Huh.
Um, then it's home against the Broncos. You would think that's a win
Yeah,
for.
yeah. That game.
Then the Chiefs and the Dolphins. That
Mm.
is interesting now.
Between them and also do not sleep on the LA Chargers who nearly beat them um not too long ago. So I mean they definitely have some tougher games left. I mean,
And then against the Chiefs.
mm,
Then against the Chiefs. Then against the Saints. Depending
like
how
not easy
Breeze
games.
is until Breeze because he's hurt. If he's
Mm.
back by then, that's not easy. That's at New Orleans, week 16.
Honestly, Matt, like
The
if you really
Falcons,
if you really look at it, they
then
have
the Chargers,
yeah they have a tougher schedule down
and
the line
us.
here to where I do think it's going to be tougher for them to actually win out. Whereas with the Steelers outside, honestly, to me, I look at that Baltimore game and I look at the Buffalo game. Those two games I'm just really are unsure of just because especially
It
if
can go either way.
right. But the thing about the Bills is though, I just don't trust them enough because I feel like that they're way too inconsistent, especially on defense and two with like Josh Allen. When he faces a really hard defense, he does tend to like not play as well like he does against the lower teams in the NFL. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that all turns out here. So some other games here before we move on here. Definitely Tampa Bay just they got they got back on the winning side here, really
Yep.
taking care of the Carolina Panthers. It was kind of close in the first half, but then the second half they just pulled
And when I was
away.
like,
Right,
uh,
and to me, they probably was probably the closest to the like biggest upset of the year was the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Green Bay Packers. Honestly, I feel like with Jacksonville they probably should have like won that game, but just they cannot get any consistent offense all game long, and Green Bay barely survives. But hell, I mean, same thing happened. Same thing happened with the Steelers when they face the Cowboys. Just like some weeks, you just have games where just nothing goes
it's
the way. Yeah,
it's happening to everybody.
it's happening to everyone. So there was that. Seattle loses yet a like another game here, and they are actually on right now as we are currently recording.
That's what I'm watching.
What's the score right now? By the way,
13-7 Seattle, 2-minute warning.
okay.
And of course, I
And
take the over in that for my pick six thing, and
and
nobody can freaking score. You would think,
right,
if we look at the teams, the defense of
Seattle's
Seattle,
defense, yeah.
and Kyler Murray,
Mm-hmm.
they've been scoring like 30 points or whatever,
Right.
like last 5 games, whatever Arizona has, and now they only have 7. I know
And
you have a second half to go, but it's just like, well, what the hell?
And I would argue, man, this is a like must win for the Seattle Seahawks because to me, if you lose again, then you'll fall to 6-4. And let's just
Yep.
pull up what
Yeah, I'm
the
looking.
standings are right now in the NFC.
Well, you know what the thing is, they have
Yeah, everyone's
a
6-3.
super easy easy schedule for the next 4 weeks. You got the Eagles, the Giants, the Jets, the Redskins.
Jesus Christ. Talk about the bottom feeders of the league right there. Yeah, so
Maybe
actually
it's,
it might not be a like must win there after all
but
because
okay, if you look at,
I think they face the
but
LA Rams again.
yeah, they phrase that. Who do the Rams play? They play Tampa Bay,
Good stuff.
49ers, Arizona, the Patriots, Jets, Seattle, Cardinals. So that's not
Yeah.
the easiest.
No, but
And then Arizona plays Patriots after today. The Patriots, Rams, Giants, the Eagles, 49ers, and the Rams. So
yeah,
I wasted.
that's gonna be interesting because I don't think that's an easy road either there for them. So
But it's easier than the Rams.
yeah,
So
Rams,
it is a big game. It's not
the biggest game. Yeah,
it's not a it's not a killer.
mhm.
Um, but let's see versus division. Seattle is well. See, another key thing is Seattle's 1-2 in their division. Well, where Arizona is 2-0. So that's important too.
Mhm.
And then they're 4-2. Both are 4-2. Arizona and Seattle, in the conference.
Jesus. Yeah, that's interesting.
So
Oh yeah, and just a few more things to add here. Um, Tennessee just laid a freaking egg against the Colts, which that was a pretty big loss for the Titans there because now it makes them getting into the into a into winning the AFC South pretty tough because I believe they now have lost both games against the Colts if memory serves me correct. And
oh,
yeah.
so I'm just reading the playoff standings that I forgot here. So Arizona right now wins the tiebreaker over LA Rams based on best win percentage in division games,
Mhm.
and wins the tiebreaker over Seattle based on head-to-head win percentage.
Right. Yeah.
So you lose to Arizona, you're down 0-2.
Yeah.
That's the tiebreaker. So it is important. I mean, must win. I don't know, but important in tiebreakers, abso-freaking-lutely. Because right now Seattle is sitting seventh, the last team in, right in front of the Bears. And then the Rams are sixth, right ahead of them, and then obviously Arizona is third seed. So very interesting stuff. But continue. I wanted to throw that in.
Yeah,
Continue what you were saying.
yeah. Okay, so we had that, and there was one. Oh yeah, the NFC East, man.
Nobody can win a game outside the division.
If you combine, man, if you combine all other ones, the Steelers have just like one less win than the whole entire division. We're going into week 11, people. Like the top, like the freaking Giants are in second place at 3-7. Like it just, this is the worst division of any year I have ever seen in the National Football League. Legitimately, all four of these teams would be probably in last place in any other division from top to bottom. It's so embarrassing and sad, and one of these teams is going to get a home playoff game, which is just straight up comedy hour right there.
It's just straight. It's just on a technicality.
Yeah.
Oh, this game is just killing me. It's not the best game for either of these two right now.
That's typical.
Another false start. Oh my God, Seattle! You count like nobody's playing their best right now.
That figures. But yeah. So we will all be reacting to this every single week here on the podcast. It's going to be a very fun finish towards the end as we are now going into a Thanksgiving here really shortly. Hard to believe already, but it's getting
the year is going by so fast. Even though it felt like 2 years in the summer with all the pandemic stuff. But it's very interesting football season to say the least.
Mm-hmm. And now, Matt, so Mandalorian episode 3 of season 2. Wow, definitely a lot different from episode 2. That was for sure, Matt. What were your thoughts on the show?
As somebody who watched has watched the Clone Wars and Rebels over the period when since Disney Plus has come out, it was cool to see Bo-Katan in live action form with Katie Sackhoff, who voiced her in both Clone Wars and Rebels, reprise that role. So that's pretty cool. And then we had Bo-Katan, Casca Reeves, Axe Wolves, played Casca, played by Sasha Banks of WWE fame. Obviously, shock if you don't know.
Her popularity is going to really grow. Yeah, her popularity.
Shock we know. Yeah, that's true.
Really grow
and then Simon Castanedis, I butchered that last name. Which I couldn't put a finger where I saw it, but he was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so still have that
yep. I remember
Disney
that.
connection, if you will.
Right.
And the significance with Bo-Katan, they nailed her look from the animated series perfectly with the hair color, that headband and everything, and even the Mandalorian her helmet to a T. The thing was that she had the dark saber at the end of, was it Rebels? I'm gonna assume. Yeah, and she helped unite the clan, the different clans of Mandalore, and in that season, she's the sister of the Duchess of Mandalore, who was killed. Who at first Bo-Katan was fighting against, again in the Battle of Mandalore and all that fun stuff, and they were working with Darth Maul, and she turned actually good to try to fight Darth Maul. And Darth Maul was the one that killed her sister in there. And her sister, the Duchess of Mandalore, it was revealed in Clone Wars, Rebels, one of the two, that Obi-Wan had kind of like a relationship with her. One of those forbidden relationships.
Right.
They showed that. So that ties in how you could say how Obi-Wan never really
wasn't she
condemned.
wasn't she the one who like trained Anakin, or she was involved with Anakin or something?
No, I don't.
Okay, because I had it because
think so.
I
No.
think because I think Eric said something about that to me, that he was
if it is,
that she was involved with Anakin in some
maybe
fashion.
I can't remember, so I don't want to say.
Mm-hmm.
But so the episode, the heiress is makes sense because she is the heir to the throne of Mandalore. So she had the dark saber. It's what we last saw it, and then we see it reappear in the season finale of last year of The Mandalorian. So there's ties to that with them. So that was pretty cool to see them. And then they mentioned to go take the baby Yoda to Ahsoka Tano, a former Jedi who renounced the Jedi, stepped out of the Jedi Order in Clone Wars, and we saw reappear in Rebels. But she's gonna be here, and so I guess the rumors are true. Obviously, leading up to this, you hear who was playing Ahsoka Tano and all that stuff. So that's pretty cool. So we'll see when we see her. I'm doubting we'll see her in this next episode. But
yeah,
probably
yeah, like for me, Matt, what was interesting about the whole episode is like I think the theme about this season is going to be with like Mando is like he's going like he's finding some like Mandalorians, but they're and like his view, they aren't like true. They aren't true Mandalorians. They're
right.
like
I was just seeing that. Yeah.
yeah, it's just like
The
I think and this is something I had zero idea about. Apparently there was like some like civil war at
yes,
some point to where they were
bat.
involved because to me like I would say like he's like a like hardcore um I'm like a man Mandalorian where they're extremely conservative as far as like you like never take off your helmet, whereas the people he was going up against they are like kind of like laxed on the rules there, right?
Yeah. Pretty much. I think this would, and I mean, I missed the finer details, but this is when the Clone Wars um really comes into play
Right.
with that, and you can, it's one of those things they you can find like episodes, the critical episodes to watch, but because they get into, I think at least in the later half of the Clone Wars, the whole battle of Mandalore, Darth Maul's involvement, um, and all that fun
Right.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, she said he was the offshoot of the, or part of the child of the Watch or whatever. Um, Again, the quote, I think what you said, cult of religious zealots that broke away from the Mandalorian society. Um, it says here, I'm reading from CNET here, it's likely a group of offshoot of Death Watch, which it was a splinter group that opposed Mandalore's government during the Clone Wars because Bo-Katan was the enemy. Um, she was part of that group, and they joined with Darth Maul, um, and then switched over to help Ahsoka Tano fight off Darth Maul and all that stuff, and try to regain and unify Mandalore and try to stop the Civil War there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the interesting thing is, who was he? Because they showed a flashback of him being saved by somebody. Um, I think it was maybe a Death Watch member. Is what it says here. So something happened to go from being rescued to the split in between, obviously. So we'll guess we're gonna find more backstory and whatnot in the upcoming weeks. We would uh, assume, which is pretty cool. So who knows? And so we're seeing more like Jedi involvement. Um, the Empire is still trying to hang on. We saw by the what's the name of the kind of ship, but the weapon ship. Um, Forgive me if I forget the exact name of it, but
Right.
and it was kind of like just a cold thing. He just like a suicide pact and just shot the two pilots and wanted to crash the that cargo ship. So that was I enjoyed. It was a great episode. Anything I'm saying, if you have anything to add, I'm trying to see any of these like
No,
Easter eggs that are pretty cool.
yeah, like you will probably know more about the Easter eggs and stuff, but yeah, and I really liked pretty much them showing off with the Empire and stuff like that. That was cool. So I'm just very interested to see what the whole story is going to unfold as far as like finding more Mandalorians because I
Um,
definitely feel like there's and and
we still
definitely
we still got Boba Fett too,
exactly. So I'm
and he
really
does, and he doesn't. if he's a true man, if he's a Mandalorian, I guess so. He's not has his helmet. Well, he lost his helmet,
Mhm.
obviously. So is how's he playing to this? Because he's there in the back of your head. So
Right.
maybe we'll see him
I feel like he's going
tonight.
to
Who
show up.
knows?
I feel like he's going to show up on the season finale. I feel like that's
I
probably is
think
going.
I feel like because they in, introduced him first, I think he's gonna be here before Asako. I don't know. I don't know if they wait till then or he's there, and then Asako Tano is down the line a little bit. Um, I don't know because I think seeing Asako in live action, I think is still a big deal for a lot of people. Um, I don't know. I think we see him. I think we see him soon. I know that's my feeling. Um, and one thing to note they have here is Bo-Katan mentioned she's the last of her line. Um, so I guess Mandalore would have a heir if she's killed. She died. So they say this person says I suspect she will be. So if that happens, that's a twist. Um, some that's not like Star Wars related, which I've read was pretty cool. Was the director for this episode was Howard's daughter, um, Bryce Dallas Howard, and the the sequence, the part of the episode where his ship, the Razor Crest, enters the atmosphere on Trask, that the water when they arrive, um, is pretty close and mirrors the returning the capsule returning in Apollo 13 that Ron Howard directed in 1995, and she confirmed it on Twitter when somebody like mentioned it. So like that little stuff that was pretty cool. Um, See, I didn't realize it. Um, so it's like little things like that. None of these Easter eggs and observations really they're on this website really noteworthy. But yeah, it was a good episode. We got obviously by the time this airs, the next one is out. So we're recording this
So far,
Thursday.
yeah.
I'll be watching it tomorrow morning.
Mhm.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
So
Yep,
we'll see
for
what
sure.
happens.
Yep, for sure. That'll be very interesting. And something else that's also really interesting, Matt, and I marked out for this was it was announced that 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 Wonder Woman will be dropped on Christmas Day on HBO Max and in like theaters um obviously on the same day. And honestly, I kind of felt that this was coming because like you just kept on hearing more and more rumors of that being discussed, and with the pandemic and everything happening, and this obviously being extended. I feel like this was only a matter of time, and honestly, I feel it's a great idea. But you do wonder how much money that some of these theaters are going to like lose by something of this happening, though. But hey, what were your thoughts on?
Yeah, it was a combination of that of a theater stuff like
Mm-hmm.
still around Christmas is I don't think with still the pandemic going, just I'm interested to see how many people the numbers of the income from a theater and then the amount of buys on HBO Max if they release those
Mm-hmm.
because more I'm going to assume more people are going to stream it
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
depending how much it is.
Well,
um
supposedly you do not have to pay an extra extra cent.
Really,
That is what I read there. That you don't have to
I'm gonna
pay an extra cent, kind of like how Disney Plus dropped like Mulan on the Disney app, where I think you had
You
to
have to
pay.
pay.
Yeah, like you had to pay like $30 extra or something like that. But I think I read somewhere where it said that you don't have to pay for an extra dollar. Which, if that's the case, I'm like I'm
I'm shocked.
I'm shocked by that. Second of all, this is going to make HBO
I'm trying to
Max's
find
subs.
this out.
Um,
If yeah, the one thing people are comparing this to, not comparing it per se, but in terms of theater, is the movie Tenet, which I still want to see eventually, the Christopher Nolan movie that on I think any regular year I think would have done great, or
absolutely.
damn or pretty well. I
Mhm.
don't say great, but so that was like the first like big release back in the theaters,
Mhm.
and it under delivered. Only
Not surprised.
353 million worldwide,
Hmm.
which is short of um, Dunkirk of 526, Interstellar 696, and Inception 836. Now I don't know. I guess 353. This is through Yahoo. I don't know if it's still in theaters or if that's final. So I don't know. But I can't see anything about the price. So that's like a big indicator. And Tenet released last month or September. I can't remember. Um, but
But
yeah,
with that
it's not.
happening though, Matt, did you see possibly of that Disney might drop um Black Widow possibly on their app with Warner Brothers pulling out this movie. I think this makes this a possibility as well, especially with, as you said, with Tenet not doing as well in theaters, and we're still in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah. So
Like I definitely think that has to be on their minds here.
yeah. So I'm reading this is from the Wired.
Mhm.
Um, I'll read this here. Quote: When Disney released the live-action remake of Mulan on Disney Plus this past summer, downloads of the app reportedly increased 68%. HBO
Jesus.
Max could see, yeah, HBO Max can see a similar spike, especially since the new Wonder Woman will be available to all Max subscribers automatically, and in parentheses, Disney charged 30 for Mulan on top of the regular monthly membership fee. Warner Media also just made a deal to get HBO Max on Amazon Fire TV devices, opening up a whole new market of potential customers. If they can do this with Roku, which represents about half of the connected TV market, they would be swimming. But I guess there's a stalemate there. If they put it on Roku, which the TV I'm on, I have right here, which I'm watching using the Xfinity app to watch the game. I can't get HBO Max, so
Yeah,
and there's
same
a lot of
thing.
Roku
Same
ticks.
thing for my parents. Roku as well. They because I tried finding it, and I believe that I asked you. I was like, hey, does is this even on here? And apparently not. So
No,
I mean, but
it's it's
with
one of
the
those you got to get those uh, deals out. I don't know. Who knows what the whole
yeah yeah.
thing is
Hmm.
going in there. I it's probably like money and paying to be on the platform and all that fun stuff. So another thing that's uh interesting and people are saying that conversation is how will this pandemic affect us watching movies or the streaming future of streaming.
I think it's honestly, man. I think this is a tip of the iceberg here.
Yeah,
Because I do think at some point we're going to get to a point where all of these films are going to be dropped on an HBO Max, a Disney. a like
And for a fee.
Netflix, a like Hulu. I feel that is going to be what is going to be the like
And
future.
yeah, and the
Um,
thing is, um, and to make the money, because these are big budget films,
yeah,
obviously,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, is everybody. I mean, I don't think just the monthly fee is enough to.
Mhm.
I, you're probably going to charge a 20, but I'm okay with like a 20. If you think about going to a theater, it's what a regular movie. What is on average 11, $10,
Yep, and you're pretty much
just
and
minus
that's it.
3D,
Right.
and then snacks. If you get stuff at what 15, maybe close to 20. Really, if you think about it. So if to pay 20 for like to watch the movie like right now,
Mhm.
um, I think
Yeah, I definitely
I'm
feel like
most people will be fine with that. Like 20 to maybe 30, I think is like the top. Um, like if you do anything, obviously more than that is ridiculous.
oh,
Anything less than that is
absolutely.
phenomenal. But people, companies have to make their money back
Hmm.
in a budget, because if not, then what's the freaking point?
Yeah, and that's I think what's going to be the
That
issue. But I also think though that I feel like that a lot of these companies are going to force a uh an an additional fee on top of the already of the subscribed fee, kind of similar of how they like UFC does on the ESPN, where you have to have a subscription, and you also have to pay um
for the
like say
pay
like
per view.
$65 for pay-per-view, which kind of like makes sense just because because they have to somehow make that money back there. So that's kind of like I feel like something that
It,
we could definitely see
it's
in the
yeah.
future.
Which I guess is I think it's fine. Like again, people have to kind of have, like I said, have to make money. The big thing, like, it's shocked that we don't have to pay, because if you the service costs $14.99 a month. If you're a
Right.
Comcast subscriber like we are, it's
Yeah.
included in like
We
in
don't
your
have to pay,
package.
and we don't have to pay
You don't
a
pay it
goddamn dime.
again.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I mean you're paying for it, but you're not like paying for it, if you make
No.
sense. You're not
No.
in addition to the
Hmm.
already lot. So like Christmas Day, like I know, I don't know if I know Disney Plus uh has like those group things you can like group watch. It'd be nice
Yep.
if HBO Max had that. I don't know if they do. Like so you can like talk with people and by like stream it. Everybody watches at the same time, so you're like at the
Hmm.
theaters but not.
Right.
Um, that would be nice to do. I mean, you could still technically do it,
Right.
like stream and like, so you guys people can like talk like talk like as the movie's happening. But like Christmas Day, it's gonna be you wake up, you do gifts, you spend time with the family or um immediate family. Don't do that gathering stuff this year. It's gonna be different. So people are thing is some. It's like a perfect storm. Everybody's for the most part should be home. You get to watch Wonder Woman Christmas Day, relax. You don't have to do anything the next day for most people.
No,
It's going to be great. Um,
absolutely. I mean,
so that's going to be great. And then, like I think we mentioned, um, Black Widow. Does
mhm.
Disney do that now?
I think it's
Um,
possible now. It definitely opens up that door right there, especially with Warner Brothers announcing this here, because as like you said, Matt, with like Mulan, they saw a 68% increase in subscriptions.
those
Uh,
the subscriptions will be going up without a freaking doubt.
yeah,
Um,
and I think it just makes too much sense if, and especially and we have seen like movies in this pandemic, as long as this thing is going on, and from everything that we are seeing, it ain't going away anytime soon. So at some point they're going to have to make a decision here. And if I'm Disney, if I am like Marvel, I'm strongly considering just dropping this on the app, because I feel like this is probably is their best solution to try and like make back um, a good profit on this film, because I just don't think that you're going to get a lot of people coming out of their homes um, to what you expect to what these
Theater,
films
like,
should draw. You know.
yeah, it's not obviously it's going to be hard. Like, it'd be nice to go to a theater. I like going to a theater,
Yep.
and just that
Same here.
the, at this point it's the old school uh way of doing things now, unfortunately. But I guess streaming is it's like the way to go now, because you've got um obviously things. You got Disney Plus. There's your Marvel stuff. You got HBO Max. Now is your DC home. As they add more and more stuff, and you got. I saw the one article. You got NBC's Peacock. Um, that's more. If NBC, I don't know what would go there. If any NBC Universal film. I don't know how the distribution stuff goes there, but like, and if you're Xfinity, you get Peacock for free. Mm-hmm. So we don't have to pay addition to that. We don't have to pay addition for HBO Max. It's 2 out of the 3. Mm-hmm. Disney Plus, you got that bundle, which I love, with ESPN and Hulu. So that bundle, Disney Plus bundle, you get basically 3 things for one price. Mm-hmm. If Hulu gets all the like the TV episodes in one place, Disney Plus, you get like just your whole treasure trove of Disney classics and all that fun stuff. And ESPN for the sports fanatic,
just
to watch live sports. Like, it's amazing. Like, there's just talking now is just amazing from like 5 years ago.
And now it's like
because
it's killing cable. It's killing cable like
slowly. Yes, people streaming cable. I'm streaming cable right now.
Yeah. Like, if you are, say, like Comcast and DirecTV and stuff, and people are just canceling, and it's like
it's getting to the hard physical boxes are going away. But like, I know Xfinity, there's this beta test for this Apple and the TV, but like, you can still pay for the service, but you don't need a box and cables. You just need their internet access. So that's an interesting thing. So it's not like Comcast is going to go away. It's just they have to, come up with a different method, and being able to use this app on a TV is great. And like, it's more flexible. But like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I remember it was just Hulu was still there. Netflix was not as big, but it was still a thing. I don't know if they still did DVD. Probably still had their DVD service, right? I'm thinking because that's when I was a senior in high school. And that was pretty much it, because Amazon Prime really, I don't know if they had videos. I can't remember if they had video stuff like they do now. But it was like Netflix, Hulu, and maybe Amazon Prime. Maybe. And that was pretty much it. And now, like, every like major network has their own streaming service. Like CBS has their own. They have their Star Trek show, which is exclusive to that. They had like the Twilight Zone remake on their platform. So I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see going forward, especially next year. Let's say things get better.
I would hope
Do
so.
things still right? Do things still go on the streaming services, or do they go to theaters? Because if you don't do theaters, then that whole business is destroyed.
Yeah, it's going to change viewing as we know
At
it
at
there.
at the very least, I think it's going to be quicker to access, quicker to theaters to your home, because before it was you had the theater, you saw it, and then months down the road, um, you would wait for it to come out on VHS, DVD, digital platforms, and stuff like that. Now it could be almost, it's basically instant in
Oh,
a sense.
absolutely. So we will definitely see how of that as it goes there. And for the final thing on the topic for this week, guys, we're just going to be talking a little bit about UFC 255, which is being headlined by like
Oh yeah, I said fight night. It's 255. My bad.
it's okay. Which we have two title fights for the flyweight title. Figueiredo versus Perez, which it was originally supposed to be Figueiredo versus Cody Garbrandt, but unfortunately, I think he suffered a torn bicep a few months ago. So Alex Perez, he was thrown into this title fight, and we also have like Valentina Shevchenko facing Jessica Mayan. And Matt, if you have see the odds on for that coming event, Shevchenko currently is a minus 1,700 going into that fight
Is that good?
on Saturday. So as far as this card goes, this is pretty much how I summed it up as. If I didn't have to pay $65 for this card, Matt, I would love this card here. But like the freaking buy rates for these, it's going to be bad. Just because if you look at both title fights, Matt, to me they are giant mismatches. I really don't see how either challenger in this fight is I'm going to win. If I'm being perfectly honest, Figueiredo is coming on a very dominant performance over Joseph Benavidez, where he just annihilated him. And Shevchenko, I mean, like hell, she has been dominating everyone that they have been putting in front of her. It's just, I mean, if you look at the rest of the card, it's a pretty fun card, but the only problem is just with these title fights, you just wish that there was more intrigue, or some bigger names as far as the challengers are concerned, because if you just like look at this on paper, it doesn't really look really enticing, but we have come across Matt so many times where we would look at these cards on paper and say, oh, this is going to be whatever. But then it turns out to be a really great night of fights. It's just kind of how MMA goes or something. But I'm definitely am picking I'm picking chalk here as far as the title fights are concerned. I just really don't see how either challenger is going to be either like a Figueiredo or Shevchenko. I would not be surprised if both of those fights are finishes in like round one at all. So I'm going with them. We also have like a Mike Perry versus Tim Means. That's more of a toss up for me. Perry is he's definitely a like wild man. I would say so that could be a pretty fun fight there. But I'll slowly edge in Perry's favor there. I'm pretty sure that he is favored in that fight. We also have like Chukagan versus Cal and Velo. This is a pretty interesting flyweight fight. This is a potential number one contenders fight to eventually face Shevchenko. I'll go with Calvillo for now, but possibly my mind could change in, in the next few weeks here, or in in the next in the next few hours here. And then obviously Shikagan versus Paul. I'm sorry. I'm Shogun versus Paul Craig. Should be a fun fight. I'll go with Paul Craig there. So it should be. I I mean, like, as I said, on paper, it's a good card. I just wish that I didn't have to pay a lot for this,
Right.
but honestly, I think we will probably get some pretty good fights on this card here. So I'm very excited, definitely, to see this on Saturday. And I'll just give some brief thoughts on Bellator. I would like to thank everyone who was tweeting along with me on like Thursday night. I really like that they are having these cards on Thursday nights. I always hated when they would go up against like UFC. That's just annoying me so bad. But we now have the first we have the first finalist in the Bellator Featherweight Grand Prix. AJ like he wins in like a like minute with a like neck crank, and will be facing the winner of Patricio Pitbull and Emmanuel Sanchez, which I'm praying that's going to be against Pitbull, because to me AJ versus Pitbull is definitely one of the best fights in this company's history, and honestly two of the best featherweights on the planet in my opinion as well. So yeah, that was the side, and I just love MMA companies who have these tournament style of fights here. Just I feel like it's a very fun and easy way to create stars, and it's definitely one thing that I wish that Dan White and the like UFC would do somewhere often. But oh yeah, guys, that was just some brief MMA talk there. We'll we'll be giving our thoughts on like UFC 255 next week, and so on and so forth. And it's finally official as well. Connor he finally signed his bout agreement, and he's going to be fighting Dustin Poirier on January 23rd, which I have a feeling that's going to be for the vacant 155 title, because there was an interview that came out with like a Habib Matt, where he basically shot down all of what like Dana has been saying about him possibly coming back. Just just from what he was saying, it doesn't sound like he has any interest whatsoever in fighting again. So we'll see how that happens, and that fight is still about 2 months away still. So a lot can happen between then and now.
Mhm.
So yeah, Matt, I think that should pretty much do it for this week. So if you don't
Yeah.
have anything else, we can
Um.
send it home.
Yeah. So thanks everybody for watching. Episode 67. Um. And thank you for commenting, and subscribing, and even interacting with us on the Twitter. So for John, I'm Matt. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video.